So, welcome to day one of the Business Without Burnout workshop. I'm so excited you are here. I have a feeling I know exactly what you are going through, and many of you are probably, you either got on my email list, started following me because you saw that I'm a time management coach, and you're like, I have a time management problem. But here's the deal, what you have is probably not a time management problem. And we're going to go into that today. We are going to talk about why you feel so busy all the time, but you're not actually seeing growth in your business. That is what today is all about. So let me quickly introduce myself because if you're new here, you might not know why this is so important to me. So when I started my business, which is crazy because I was just thinking this morning, I started my business about 10 years ago. At the time, I was teaching middle school PE. I had two kids at home. I had like a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. And I built my business in my 90-minute plan period every single day. I started my business because I wanted more time freedom and flexibility in my schedule. I was tired of missing out on my kids' lives. I just really wanted to make sure that my family stayed my priority. And so, after 2 years of, again, building my business in my 90-minute plan period every single day, I was able to quit my job. Now, there's a lot more that goes into that. I know that that's not always possible for everyone, but I was able to quit my job and be home with my kids. But what I quickly learned was that just because I went from having a 9 to 5 job to having this time freedom and flexibility, it's not as easy as it seems. And maybe you are going through that at this point too. Like you're like, I have my own schedule. I set my own hours. I can work whenever and wherever I want. That's the beauty of it, right? But then you feel like you're working all the time. That is the trade-off of becoming an entrepreneur, is that you no longer have a 9 to 5, you have a 24/7, right? And so what I learned very quickly as a full-time entrepreneur, I didn't want to work 9 to 5 or 24/7, but that's what I was doing. I was still missing out on things in my kids' lives. I was still not present with my kids, and that's not what I wanted. I wanted that freedom and flexibility. And what I realized was that I needed a better system. And that is what we're going to talk about this week. So I have a feeling that you have probably gotten to 3 p.m. on a Friday and you close your laptop and you realize that you can't actually tell me or tell someone what you accomplished this week. You go and look at your to-do list, and I am a very kinesthetic person, so you're going to see me like talk with my hands and touch my planner and do all the things. So that's what I'm doing. My planner is literally right next to me. You probably look at your to-do list and you're like, cool, I got nothing important done, right? But you've been busy. You're like, okay, then what was I actually working on? Like you were genuinely busy, but busy doing what? And like I said earlier, most of the time we think that we have a time management problem. If only I could manage my time better, then my business would be successful. If only I could do this, then my business would be successful. And we think that like it comes down to the time and how we're managing it. But what you really have is a priority problem. You are working in your business versus on your business. You are doing the things that run your business, but not the things that actually grow your business. The things that run your business are those day-to-day operations. And listen, those are really, really important things. They need to be done. We're talking checking your email, client requests, social media posts, admin, all those things. Those are things that will always happen. They never stop. You have to do those things to grow your business. However, we end up spending so much time on the day-to-day operations, on the whirlwind, that it takes up and consumes the time that we have to work on our business, that when it comes to the important stuff that actually grows it, we don't have time for it. Or, and this is what I found with most of my clients and what we work on a lot, is we spend so much time working in our business on the day-to-day operations to avoid the things that will actually grow our business, because the things that grow our business are scary. It means getting visible. It means someone actually saying yes to us, because most of the time we always talk about like, what's the worst they can say? They can say no. No, the worst thing they can say is yes. And then I actually have to deliver on what I told them I could deliver on. And what if I'm not the expert? Okay. So we get wrapped up in those day-to-day operations because that feels safe. It feels busy. And so we think that we have a time management problem, but what it comes down to is we don't know the things that are actually going to grow our business. So what are those? That's what I want to talk about today, because I want to bust this myth that you have a time management problem, because you don't. I know you don't. I know you can manage your time, especially if you're a mom. Like, you manage your time. You keep track of the kids' schedule. You have an extra burden that no other woman or man on the planet has as a mom. You have an extra burden. You are in charge of all the things in your house, and I know you can manage your household well. So why can't you apply it to your business? You think it's a time problem. It's not. It's just that you don't know your priorities. Okay, so let's talk about income producing activities, or IPAs. I love calling them IPAs because I am an IPA drinker. I do drink beer. I love beer. IPAs are my favorite. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, your income producing activities, your IPAs, these are the things that directly lead to revenue, to profit, to sales in your business. Okay. And most entrepreneurs are spending 80% of your time on operations and 20% on growth, when really it should be the opposite. If you are working 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, you should be spending at least 3 hours every single day on things that are going to produce income in your business. Okay? But most of the time, we're spending those 3 hours checking email, trying to create this perfect social media post, perfecting this PDF in Canva, doing all the things that feel busy but aren't actually helping you grow your business. And it needs to be the opposite. I want I want my clients, I want the people that I work with to be focusing on the things that grow your business, because if you're not making sales in your business, you don't have a business. And that's not what I want. I want you to have a successful, growing, healthy business. And that means focusing on the things that are going to produce income. So here are some examples, because you're probably thinking, okay, well then what should I actually be doing? So one example, sending an email to your entire email list. Okay. This needs to be something, it doesn't have to necessarily be a sales email. I know that that can be scary. We feel like we're selling too much to our list. I promise you, you're not selling too much to your list. Do you know how many emails I open per day? It's not a lot. Most of the time they just go to trash. I am on a lot of people's email lists, and I very rarely open an email from them. Okay. Unless they have a really good subject line, then absolutely I do. Or I found them on social media and I'm like, yeah, I want to be on your email list because I'm very interested in what you have to offer. Okay. Sending an email to your email list can be something that is going to help get more eyeballs on your business, on your offer. Okay. So you can do a sales email where you are hard promoting your offer, or you can do an email that gets them over to your blog or your podcast or something like that. That is an income producing activity. Okay. We can get into the nitty gritty of this. Like, I used to have a podcast. I don't anymore because it wasn't producing income. Okay. If your podcast helps you produce income, then absolutely send emails to your list, get them over to your podcast. Okay. Posting on social media can be an income producing activity as long as it has some sort of purpose, some sort of intention to it, with a call to action. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like you're pushing your offer out to the world, but it needs some kind of call to action. It needs some kind of intention behind it. I'm really big on intentionality when it comes to things in your business. Like, are we doing everything with intention? And when it comes to social media, there is always an intent behind everything I post. When I post, I try to at least mention my offers. I try to, I might be doing it to get more followers, might be doing it to get more engagement on it, or I might be doing it to get people over to my offer. So there's always some kind of intention behind it. Another example of an IPA is following up with a lead. This is the scary thing. This is not like cold messaging people. This is going to people who have expressed interest before and go, hey, I know you were interested in this. Are you still interested in this? Or I've done it with people who have asked me questions before about my planner or about my program. And I say, hey, I just want to let you know, like, this is open right now. Is there any questions that you have? I don't want you to miss out on this. People typically appreciate it. If they've already expressed interest, following up with them is just a reminder. You are not bugging them. I need the reminder. If I asked you about a question about something and I don't purchase right away, there's a reason behind it. And most likely it's because I forgot about it. So follow up with people. We need the reminders. It can be launching or promoting an offer. Okay, this is a very big example of an IPA. That means as you're building assets for your launch, that's not necessarily a working in your business. That is a working on your business. That is a growth activity. That is an income producing activity because you have to have all those things in place in order to promote your offer. Okay, networking or showing up in other people's audiences. So getting on bundle email type things where you're giving people a free thing, but with a whole bunch of other people, so they have the option to opt into your list. I typically get like 50 to 100 people every time I do one of those new email subscribers. Every time I do one of those things, it can be getting on people's podcasts. It can be asking to speak in their group, being a guest expert, those sorts of things. Networking and showing up in other people's audience is income producing because it gets more eyeballs on your business. Creating content that drives traffic back to your offer. So blogs, podcasts, social media, anything like that that can drive people back to your offers. Okay, those are all income producing activities. And the thing is, these are all the things that we know we should be doing, but they tend to be the things that we never get to because we are so focused on the busy work instead of the income producing work. Okay, it tends to eat up our time, and that's why we think we have a time management problem. It's not. It's just that you don't know the priorities. You don't know what you need to be focusing on, and you don't have a system to follow it. Okay, if you are not doing at least one income producing activity every single day, and I just gave you a full list of it: sending emails, posting on social media, following up with leads, launching, networking, or creating blogs and podcasts and things like that. If you're not doing one of those things every single day, that doesn't mean that you need to like post on social media every day. I don't post on social media every day. I don't even blog every single week. I do send emails every single week though. But if you're not doing one of those things every single day, your business just isn't going to grow. Okay. And that is why you feel busy all the time, but you're not growing because you're focused on things that keep you busy versus the things that create income in your business. Okay. So what I want you to do today, and you can do this on a piece of paper, in your planner, or just in the comments, that's fine too. But I want you to name the day-to-day operations. What are the things that you have done in the past week that was not an income producing activity? So this is like checking emails. This is the admin. This is putting out all the fires that come up during the day, the busy work that isn't actually going to grow your business. Now, again, I want to be clear on this. This does not mean that you should not be doing any of these things. Absolutely not. You have to run your business. There's operations that have to be done. But I want you to realize just how much time you're actually spending on that versus the income producing activity. So write down all of those day-to-day operations. And then I want you to write down, or in the comments, 2 to 3 income producing activities that are most relevant to your business right now. Okay, so I want you to think about your goals for the year. We're going to talk more about goals tomorrow. I do have your goals. I promise you. They're literally right here on a Post-it that I can't see right now because my lamp's in the way. I'm going to put that back up there. I have your goals, but I like to work in very small periods of time, usually 1 month to 90 days. Okay, so I want you to think about your goals in the next 90 days. What do you want to get done in the next 90 days? What are the things that are going to help you produce that income? If your goal is to get 5 to 6 new members in your membership, what things are going to help do that? If you haven't sent an email to your list about your offer in like 6 weeks, it's time to do it. Okay. What is an income producing activity that is most relevant to your business right now that are going to help get you a sale, a new client, support your goals. Okay. I want to see those in the comments. And then tomorrow, we are going to be talking about how to actually implement those income producing activities. Okay, we're going to talk about the system that makes that happen. Yes, we're going to talk about your goals because that is part of the system, but we are going to talk about how to actually get them done on a daily basis because, again, you don't have a time management problem. You have a priority problem, and your priorities are your income producing activities. So, we're going to create a system to make sure that you can get them done every single day. So, I hope to see you back here tomorrow.